We'll start with a broadcast section with no embargo, followed by an embargoed section for 10:30 p.m. tonight. No live tweeting during the broadcast section, please, and use the microphone provided. Gail.
Afternoon.
Happy New Year, everyone. Good to see everyone.
Whole 6 days off. Have you had a chance to give everybody a little bit of time, space, quiet time, reflection, recovery? What have you done?
Yeah, main sort of driver in that was recovery more than anything else. Obviously, been on a fairly lengthy sort of cycle of games every 2 to 3 days. So yeah, give the guys a couple of days off and then get back into it. And
has it helped getting anybody fit and available for the weekend?
No, unfortunately no. So I guess Destiny, obviously, with his hamstring, looks around sort of 6 week mark for him missing. We obviously would lose Bentancur, suspended. None of the injured ones are kind of back yet. We've had a bit of an illness bug running through the squad as well, so a few are missing a training, but that's all right. We'll be right.
Will the illness sort of strike the numbers for tomorrow, or are you going to lose any more because of the illness tomorrow?
I'm not sure yet. We'll see. Yeah.
And in terms of the comeback of when the others might be available, is it still the schedule you've talked? There's no major setbacks apart from Davis?
Yeah. At this stage, Richie and Mikey more the two next sort of cabs off the rank. Hopefully next week at some point, and then sort of Ben, Mickey, Van der Ven, and Romero all kind of around the same time, sort of back end of January. They're all sort of slated to return.
Yeah, it is January. The window is now open. We are 3 days into it. No arrivals so far. Any imminent, and how kind of much are you pushing to get some bodies through the door?
It's not a matter of pushing, but I think the club's working hard to try and sort of get some help, and for the playing group, and it's no secret we need to sort of bolster up our numbers a little bit. So the club's working hard on that, and obviously January's not an easy month. We understand that it's not an easy time to sort of bring people in, particularly quickly, and at the same time we still want to make sure we do what we think's the best thing for us, rather than sort of just panic and sort of bring in people who aren't going to be a suitable fit.
Nothing imminent?
Not really sure. Could be imminent, could not be imminent. Not sure.
And in terms of obviously playing Newcastle, banging form, probably not who you want to play at the moment. But at home, you have been so good up until maybe the last few weeks. How do you go about sort of re-engaging that home form, but rebuilding that sort of fortress sense to what you're about? Because it's been difficult, hasn't it? 12 goals, I think, in your last 3 Premier League games that you conceded, just to sort of that mindset change.
Yeah, I think there's context to all that, obviously, and I think everyone knows what the context is, but it is what it is. And Newcastle will be a good test, good side. We always have good games against them. I think they're always close. Both teams in all the games we've had against them have had their moments, they're in good form at the moment. They're in a good period, and it's a good challenge for us. But at the same time, I know sort of, we obviously haven't had the results we want, but I still think our football at home has still been of a good quality, and we've certainly done enough in games to win them. So we've just got to go out there with the same mindset tomorrow.
And just finally, Thomas Tuchel has started, obviously, in 1st of January, and he's decided he's coming to watch you guys. Can you use that at all with any of those sort of particularly English players that want to make an early mark, just to sort of get something extra out of them?
Maybe Thomas just wants to see a good game, mate. He's heard good things about us, so you never know. So hopefully we'll put on a show. I don't think that really factors into players' motivations, whether, I'm pretty sure even if Thomas wasn't there and the players played well, that he would find out about it. So like I said, hopefully he gets a nice seat and enjoys the spectacle.
Chris.
And Ange, from that nice seat, what I guess big developments would he expect to see in Dom Solanke's game that might push him on now to be really threatening Harry Kane in the national team? Yeah,
look, I think Dom's been outstanding for us. he scored goals, but it's just his all-round game and his capacity to help the team in all aspects of our football. Defensively, link-up play, still being a presence in the box, really intelligent with his movement, and really pretty much carrying that position on his back with no help, no rest. So I think, which says an enormous amount about his character and the kind of person he is. So I can't speak highly enough of him. The load he's had to carry for us in the last sort of 2 months without a lot of help, and from us being able to allow him to recover, and yet he still, every week, puts in a massive performance. I think I've got no doubt. I'm sure Thomas has been following him, but I've got no doubt he'll be impressed.
You mentioned January already, and you mentioned the difficulty with doing what's right for the club. How is the balance shifting between quick fixes to help you through this current situation and get you to the end of the season, maybe loans, compared to what the longer-term picture might have been in terms of targeting signings?
I think it's a combination of both, but whether it's a loan or it's a permanent, I think it's still got to fit into sort of what we're trying to create here from a footballing perspective and a cultural perspective. So, it's not just about getting whatever's available quickly. I don't think that's the solution for us. So, as I said, we've been really disciplined about our work so far, and we'll continue to be.
And one new face who has come through the door, of course, is Yang Min Hyuk. What is the realistic timeline with him? I know he's just been around the place getting used to England or whatever. Yeah. What is your plan, I guess, for him? No
real plan at the moment. Just let him settle. He's obviously still very, very young, coming from the other side of the world where, the level of competition is nowhere near what he's going to face here. We'll just give him time to adapt. Obviously, helps that Sonny's here and kind of helps him around when he's at the club, and outside the club, we're just trying to get him settled, really. Just give him a chance to settle in. So no real plan. We'll just sort of take it as it goes with him and see how he settles in.
Ms. Hart, please.
Hi, Ange. I just wanted to talk a bit about the injuries a bit more and sort of the context. I know a lot of them were muscle injuries and hamstring pretty prevalent as well. So I just wondered, how much has it been, the extra fixtures, the sort of Europa League and Carabao Cup run that's kind of impacted that, and how much has it been sort of the style of play mixed with those extra 33% of fixtures?
I think it's probably a combination of all of them, but at the same time, there's also an individual thing involved there as well. So, I think it's a combination of all those things, the amount of fixtures, the way we play. I guess the challenging bit for us is, quite a few of them have kind of been re-injuries, which, something we're kind of looking at. So yes, I think it's a combination of all those things. I don't think it's unique to us. I think you're seeing that across the board with a lot of clubs. It's just that we've kind of, been hit sort of a more extreme, and then you add, Vicario and when his is not a sort of muscle injury, but it's a long term, and then kind of exacerbates sort of the situation we're in.
And when you talk about the things you're looking at to try and change it, I know you don't ever want to change your style of play because it's something you truly believe in, and that's the philosophy of you and this club now. But would injuries be a factor that maybe would force you to change it? Would you look at that? Would you say maybe 10, 15%? Because we all know the running data here is top level as well.
Yeah. Look, there is always the opportunity for change, and the one constant with me is that I'm not going to in terms of my beliefs. So, but there's always a reason to change, and there's always the opportunity to change for everybody. So I guess it just comes down to how much you believe in what you're doing and how much you believe what you're doing will bring success, and that's kind of where I sit with it.
You think if you carried a bigger squad, maybe it wouldn't have been as much of an issue from the beginning? Is that maybe some flaw in the way that it was set up?
Look, some of it, but some of it's just circumstance. Some of it's just, and I know we always want a head on a stick and we want somebody to blame, and there's always somebody at fault, but some of it's just life, mate. Football is like life, and how sometimes in life you get one thing go wrong and then you get another thing wrong, and you're doing nothing different. You just go, why is it always me at the moment? And you know what? But it's all temporary. You get through it. And for us, some of it we understand is a consequence of kind of, the situation we're in terms of, like I said, fixtures, the way we play. But some of it's just the way we lost Jed with a red card, and he was supposed to start over Destiny. Destiny starts, doesn't get the rest, and that's just life. And sometimes no one's at blame, no one's at fault. It's just we're going through a bad trot, but it is temporary. We'll get through it. We'll analyse areas we can improve in, and move forward from there.
Jay, please.
Hi, Ange. Happy New Year. It's been over a month now since Vicario fractured his ankle. Just wanted to know how he's getting on with his progress.
Yeah, he's on schedule. He's kind of like it's obviously when it's a fracture, there's a kind of set schedule for him being in a boot, how much weight bearing he can do, and then sort of getting clearances along the way. So he's still sort of on the same sort of timelines of kind of end of February. I think was the initial prognosis. Nothing's really changed in the short term.
So is he still in a boot at the moment?
Not really sure, mate. I think he might be out of it at the moment. I think he's having a couple of days away from the club.
And then I just wanted to ask about Sergio Reguilón. There's only 6 months left on his contract. But is he a player that you're going to be needed to be require? Sorry, I phrased that wrong. Is he a player that's going to be needed to be played a lot more over the rest of the season with the current injury situation?
Well, he played last week, and it just depends on the situation. He's been available all year, so. But obviously at the moment we've got, it's no secret, we've got quite a lot of our defenders out, and obviously we lost Destiny now for a period of time. It's going to be a while, so Reggie, I'm sure will get more opportunities.
Ali, please.
In an ideal world, and I know that's not what you're living in right now, do you need
No one lives in an ideal world, Ali. Let me give you a tip. Even
true.
you, mate. I'm sure there's some cracks there somewhere, mate.
Definitely not me. Do you need it in an ideal world to be a busier transfer window than it was 12 months ago for you?
No, I just want it to be a positive one. That's the main thing. It's not about being busy. Like I said, it's about being positive. Because, the reality is, like I said, the situation we're in at the moment is temporary. We'll get players back and God willing, with a bit of luck, we'll keep them back and do the right things and we'll be strong from then on. So it's not just about, we just need to be a positive window where, like I said, that's where we've got to be disciplined to make sure the ones we bring in, if they do come in, they're going to fit in with our playing style, but also culturally, and they're coming here for the right reasons. I still think that's important.
Although there is a clear plan, like you're saying, and you're not rushing into just signing anyone, is there also the other side that maybe selling clubs or loaning clubs can see Spurs coming and kind of sense a desperation, even if it doesn't actually exist?
Yeah, well, that's the tricky bit about January. As I said, it's whether it's Spurs or anyone else. If anyone's looking sort of to supplement in January, usually it's because of some sort of need. Most clubs don't plan for sort of January reinforcements, so I think that's why January is always tricky, not just for us, for all clubs. But as I said, I think you can still hopefully find some common ground there where you can get the right kind of player to come in and sort of help the playing group at the moment, because they do need that support. But as I said, the clubs working as hard as they possibly can, mate. Trust me, they didn't have New Year's parties. They were out there working, trying to improve our situation, and they'll continue to do so. 2024
is obviously done. How do you, you're someone that constantly evolves and adapts, you've said, over your career. How do you look back on 2024? Are you just happy to see the end of it because of everything, like the bad stuff that happened in it? Or
no, because then you kind of dismiss all the good stuff. I mean, 24 included us, which I know right now people don't recognise as anything, but we finished 5th last year. We finished 8th the year before. Yeah, people keep forgetting that I didn't pick up a club that finished 3rd and we finished 5th. So even though the back end of last year was a struggle for us, it was still, I thought, a real positive season on the back of what we had to do in terms of player turnover. We lost some significant players. And I enjoyed 24. It was a big challenge for us. Yes, it didn't finish well, but again, I think that's the case for every year. All of us have challenges within it, and I guess going into 25 now, it's about trying to make this year better than the last, but that should be the aim every year.
We'll finish with George, please.
Hi, Ange. Sort of understandably, the players were running on empty, weren't they, towards the end of that Wolves game? I think it was 5 games in 14 days. How much can this kind of clear week, even though you've lost more players, make in terms of the energy levels going into this Newcastle game?
Yeah, look, I guess it helps, but it's not going to sort of totally, refuel the tank in terms of, where we want to be, because we're still dealing with a small number of players. It's not like, I think it's different if we had a sort of full squad, because then, because again, we're going into a really busy period. January's massively busy for us and big games. It's not going to be long before that kind of banks up again. So, but look, I think it was good for the players just to have a couple of days, as much mentally as anything else, to clear their heads and get away from the club. And I think, spend some time with their families, and from that perspective, I think it's been definitely beneficial. And look, they're a very, very resilient group. Like, they're just not willing to sort of lay down. They're fighting tooth and nail to make sure we turn this around, and it's a credit to them.
And I know ordinarily the next game is always the most important, but you've also got a big League Cup semi-final game next week. Does that kind of have to come into your mind selection-wise for tomorrow?
No, not really, because it's not like I've got massive selection issues at the moment. It's kind of whoever's fit. We get out there, and then we try and get out whoever's fit the next game. So big game for us tomorrow. From a league context, we need to sort of start picking up points for sure, and winning these games. So all our focus is on that.
And just finally from me, I mean, Newcastle were 12th at the start of December, and obviously they're now 5th after 5 wins in a row. And I think last year, when you beat them, they kind of lost 6 out of 7, and they were 12th again and managed to finish strong. Are they kind of a good example to the squad that if you can get that sort of players back, you can get going?
And I think if you look at that time last year, I actually spoke about it at the press conference, they had a ridiculous amount of injuries. I actually specifically mentioned Newcastle when we played them, that they've got a ridiculous amount of injuries. It's no wonder that their form's suffering, but they'll get their players back. So, but that's a boring tale, mate. That doesn't mean that, like I said, people are going to be outside with pitchforks and looking for heads. So let's not take that narrative.
But is that a good example that they had loads of injuries?
I think so. I think so, but it's a boring story, mate. I'm a boring person, so I don't think you're going to get much traction with that.
Okay, we'll end the broadcast section there. Move on to the Embargoed section for 10:30 p.m. tonight. Tom?
Injuries are now tearing your hair out.
No, I'd be no good bald, and my wife would definitely leave me. Look, like I said, Tom, it's just, I've never been this kind of guy who, woes me and can anything else go wrong. I just think, it's a hell of a challenge. I keep telling the guys in there, it's just going to make the story better, and more interesting at the end, wherever we end up. It's just part of, and I think these things do kind of go in cycles at times where you just feel like, oh my God, what else, every time I get a message or an update, what else could possibly go wrong? But I really believe all these things are just temporary. They're a good test of character, they're a good test of resolve, they're a good test of resilience, and I still, think that within that context, there's still opportunity for growth, and we'll get through it. We'll as I said, I've got a really resilient group of players who are just refusing to make excuses. They're working as hard as anything. That's all you can ask for, and eventually we'll get over this. And who knows? I think they do go in cycles, mate. There's been times I've won things and I've thought, I don't know how that happened. The footballing gods were smiling on us, and. I don't question it then, because I think we deserve the success, and I don't question it now. It's just where we're at.
When you beat Newcastle last time, obviously you referenced the injuries, but you made a pretty blistering start, and there's quite a lot of those games you scored early.
Yeah.
Since in 2024, to be honest, there's been a lot of times when you've fallen behind, particularly in the league, giving yourself a bit of a mountain to try to turn it around. What do you put that down to? Why does that consistently happen?
I don't know. Like I said, some of it's just, I don't know, it's context. I rarely think those things are an occurrence because of something that's really tangible. I think there's always reasons for those things. I don't think we're slow starters. I don't think we're, it's not like we don't create chances. I mean, a lot of these games, maybe not the weekend, but a lot of these games have fallen behind. We've had the best chance to score first, and we haven't. I can remember at least 3 of them in recent times. We've had unbelievable chances in the first 2 minutes of a game to go ahead, and we don't, and then the opposition score. So I think there's always context to that. But I think it is important at home that it does make a big difference if you can start strong and get the first goal, because it kind of helps you build momentum into a game. And, for us, going goal behind, even though sort of propensity to come back is still strong. It's not helpful, particularly in the current situation, because it just requires a hell of a lot, again, more energy that probably we don't need to be using right now.
I'm just finding, I know you've been asked a lot of times about James Madison when he's been in the team because he's a big name, creative player.
Yeah.
But he does seem like, on the face of it, almost like a poster boy for your style of play, and yet he's in 1 week, I know there's a lot of injuries, but I suppose the question is, what is it about him that he needs to do to get him to come?
Oh, yeah, I don't know. I don't know about that. I mean, he was due to play last week, but he was sick, so I had to change the team on the day and sort of leave him out on the bench. But he was ill on the day. So, but I think the reason he's still doing well is I've kind of have been able, because I've got midfield numbers, rest him a little bit. I just don't think any player can play the volume of games we're playing at the moment in the way we want to play and maintain performance. So I just don't think it's feasible. So I don't think there's anything in the way Matters is playing that would mean he'd get more game time. I still think the key with us with Matters is to keep him healthy, keep him fit, keep him sharp, and that is by not playing every game, especially with the, like I said, the program we've got. So I think he's, when he's played this year, I think his goals tally's strong. He's always impacted the game, and that's what we need him to keep doing. But I don't think that means he's going to play more. I just don't think it's feasible for anyone. I mean, at the moment, the only ones who are kind of playing regularly are the ones we've got no real options for. That we have to play them all the time. I'd love to give Dom Solanke a rest. I'd love to give Kulusevski a rest. I'd love to give Radu and Archie a rest, but because I think that would help improve performance. But it's just a cycle we're in.
Matt. Can you talk a little bit about Jed Spence? He suddenly feels important to you for being nowhere for 2.5 years. Has he impressed you last month? And what do you need to be on the outside to suddenly be crucial? Yeah,
no, you're right, and a lot of it's just down to him. He's just really knuckled down. Has to be patient, but I think he's been really good for us. And as I was saying to Tom before, even in tough times, you get these little sort of spurts of opportunity for others that maybe wouldn't have happened for Jed. The reality of it is, if we'd have everyone healthy, he wouldn't get the opportunity, and in January we'd be looking at a different scenario for him. But right now, he's performed really well. I was really disappointed he got sent off against Forest, because I think he could have helped us last week. And he's very important for us now, Destiny going down especially. Not because he's just a player available, but he's actually, in the games he's played really well. He's made an impact, and maybe he senses that opportunity as well, and the opportunity now to sort of not just, now sort of become part of Tottenham on a permanent basis in terms of in his own mind where he feels settled, but now pushing to be a starting player. And I think he has the capacity to do that.
Do you think there was something missing? Was there something he was doing wrong?
No, I don't think there was anything missing. I think, there's obviously, there was probably a reason he hadn't settled, whether it was here or anywhere else. But I think I mentioned the start of pre-season, there was an opportunity for him here. We were going to give him that opportunity. We weren't going to necessarily get him out alone. The rest was up to him. And a lot of that is just how you deal with, how he dealt with the fact that, he had to train every day really hard without a lot of prospect of playing, and I think he impressed everyone with his attitude towards that. Maybe in the past he was maybe a little bit impatient, or maybe his attitude wasn't great in terms of, he wasn't playing or he wasn't feeling like he was a regular. But this year he's had to bide his time, and he's done that in the best possible way, waited for his opportunity, and then now when he's got it, I think he's grown. Look, some of it's just maturity too, he's not a young boy anymore, and he probably feels like, well, if I'm going to have a Tottenham career, now's the time to kind of grab that, and I think he has done that.
Just back to what you said to Tom about Madison, you said he was not well enough to start, but he went to the darts that evening. Were you kind of fine for him to be there, given he wasn't able to start the game?
Well, he wasn't doing the darts. He was kind of, no, I've got no problem with that. I've got no problem with the players having lives. It's a lot different trying to play a game of football and, living a life. I don't see any problem with that, and I don't think it sort of hurt him. He just, like I said, he wasn't 100%, and it was a game where we needed somebody to be 100%. He was still well enough to play, so it wasn't like he was bedridden. If he was bedridden and didn't turn up to the game and then went to the darts, then yeah, there may be an issue there, but I have no issue with that.
Tom.
And I know hindsight's a wonderful thing. Would you look back now this summer and think that the deals that were done there were maybe a bit light?
No, because again, like I said, hindsight's an easy thing, but you know, I still feel the players we brought in. I mean, no one will tell me that, you know, Dom Solanke or Archie Gray or Lucas Bergvall, but obviously Wilson, we've hardly seen him, are not good acquisitions for us. I just, and in the world of hindsight, everything looks so much easier and simpler and clearer, but that's not the world I live in. I live in the real world, and I think the business we did was good, and I think medium and long term will be fantastic for this football club. I've got no doubt about that. We've got some great players in. We tried to do some other deals that didn't happen, but that's because they weren't the right ones for us, or we just couldn't make them happen. But I didn't expect to have this kind of attrition in terms of the playing ranks. I think even if, say, two out of all our defenders, whether it was Vic and one central defender, were fit through this period, I'm sure we wouldn't be in the spot we're in.
If you understand those, say that maybe some of those shortages were foreseeable. I mean, for example, Reguilón, Van der Ven, left centre back, had a history of injuries. That maybe some of the.
Yeah, but okay. So Van der Ven, we've got Rado Dragusin, we've got Ben Davies. How many centre backs do we need to have? 7? Like, that's the real world. So unless you're saying that those players aren't good enough and they needed to move on, to bring in a 5th centre back who, if everyone was healthy, wouldn't play at all. We had enough cover, but we didn't expect to lose all our centre backs in one go. And any club, so you name me a club that if they lost their 2 starting centre backs plus their backup centre back would be flying right now, or would have another centre back to walk in to do exactly the same job, I'll be very surprised. Goalkeeping is always a tricky one, because again, you want to bring in the right kind of goalkeeper. It's not just about numbers, but like I said, in hindsight, everything looks clear and everyone wants somebody to blame. Everyone wants somebody to be at fault. And sometimes it's just the way things happen, and you deal with what you have in front of you. So the perfect plan does not exist, but I understand the need for people to think that that's the way it should be, that I should have, or not me, because it's not about me, this football club should have every base covered, so that every possibility that happens throughout the year you have a solution for. Well, that's not the reality.
How many players are affected by the illness?
Just a few. We'll see. Fair to say, I almost got involved in training yesterday, so which is not a good thing, by the way.
Would it be a sort of last-minute check? Kind of?
Yeah. We'll give them. I mean, it's illness, so you kind of, you almost work hour by hour. So hopefully, I'm hoping it's not too bad. I'm hoping that, but obviously disrupted our training week. But I'm hoping that we'll be okay.
How many missing from training? Sorry.
A few, mate. A few.
Give us a minute.
Nah.
Is Matt's feeling all right?
He's better. He's trained. Yeah, he was still sort of. It was good to give him a sort of couple of days away from training and everything, but he was better. He trained anyway. Yeah.
Alan, we'll finish with you, please.
You touched on January being a difficult month in terms of transfers. Are you waiting for another club to make that first move that's going to create a domino effect? Is that how you typically do it?
No. I don't think it's like to get a deal done, you need multiple parties to come to agreement. And there's so many moving parts to that. It's not just a matter of saying, well, this is the player I want, let's go get him. You got to think about the player. You got to think about their representatives. You got to think about the other club. Then that club thinks about replacing that player, and they got to deal with another club. And they got to. So there's multiple moving parts. So again, it's not an easy process. It's not, like I said. So, but all you can do is, like I said, work as hard as you can to try and help the situation. That's what the club's doing. Like I said, I can tell you the club is working as hard as it possibly can to try and get some help for the playing group, but not all of it is in our power.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.